Today, we're going to talk about three stories currently unfolding across China, stories far more shocking than their news headlines suggest. In Shanghai, psychiatric hospitals are overflowing. In the matchmaking market, a new form of scam known as the romance pig butchering scheme is emerging, and in Guangzhou, thousands of people have fallen into a nightmare of backpaying Social Security in hopes of securing their pensions. These are not three separate social incidents. They are portraits of three groups of people pushed into corners by the times, those forced into desperation, those emotionally manipulated, and those crushed by anxiety. As the black hole of the system grows larger, ordinary people are pushed along an assembly line from one trap straight into another. What we need to do is place these three incidents together and look at the much clearer question behind them all: who is it that is driving ordinary people to a dead end? 1. The overflowing psychiatric hospital in Shanghai. The first story is almost unbelievable. You may have heard of hospitals being full, but you probably never imagined that psychiatric hospitals in China could also become packed to the point of bursting. On December 19, the video creator Wu Wangwudi posted a clip exclaiming, "Terrifying. China is truly a human purgatory. If you told me it was a cancer hospital, everyone having tumors, I could believe it. If you said it was the fever clinic during a flu outbreak, I'd believe it. If you said it was the children's hospital with kids running fevers, I'd believe it. But I never expected that the one overflowing is the Shanghai Psychiatric Hospital. People have gone crazy." The video pinpointed the location at 600 Wanping South Road, allegedly the Suhui branch of the Shanghai Mental Health Center, one of the city's top psychiatric hospitals with more than 2,000 beds. A psychiatric hospital overflowing? Have you ever heard of such a thing? In the circulating videos, you can see crowds waiting at the service counter, a jam-packed waiting room, and corridors packed with people standing shoulder to shoulder. The scene is shocking. The creator called it a human purgatory, because in China, psychiatric hospitals are not merely medical institutions. That's the key. Testimonies: you only realize the darkness after you enter. A young man online shared his own experience. Last year, he was forcibly sent to a psychiatric hospital by family members or related individuals. The first thing the doctor said was, "You have severe bipolar disorder." But he said, "I never felt anything that serious. It was only after I got in that I realized how many problems there were." What he described was a place with no real treatment, only violence. No care, only electric shocks. No freedom, only forced medication. He exposed shocking details. They force-feed you dozens of pills at once, draw 3 to 5 tubes of blood a day, and if they find the drug levels aren't high enough, they increase the dosage. It sounded like a description of a horror laboratory. What's horrifying is that he said he personally saw perfectly healthy people with no illness at all, sent in by their families under excuses like property disputes. Once the family signs the papers, those people lose legal capacity. They lose the right to decide their money, their homes, their lives. Some are locked up for 5, 10 years, or even longer. Others, he said, were sent in by the police. The reason? You understand. The psychiatric hospital as a weapon in China's stability maintenance system. A video from May this year showed a disturbing scene outside a psychiatric hospital in Chongqing. Several dozen women clung to the fence, shouting, "Call the police. We were all sent in by 110. Many people here were sent in by the police." Some reached their arms through the fence as if trying to grasp the air outside, a desperate instinctive gesture toward freedom. One commenter said, "If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, would never believe this is China in 2025. Many people think psychiatric hospitals only admit patients. But in China, they have another identity. A tool for authoritarian stability maintenance. Did you petition the government? Did you report an official? Did you clash with local authorities? Do you practice a religion the regime dislikes? Did you say something online they don't want to hear? Any of these could earn you a label of mental illness and get you thrown inside, drugged, electroshocked, or made to quietly disappear. This is not a rumor. Since the CCP began persecuting Falun Gong, countless identical cases have been documented. The tragedy of Su Xinrui. Su Xinrui from Chengdu was just an ordinary college student. She reported her community secretary for gambling in the library. Within 3 days, she was taken away and sent directly to a psychiatric hospital for mandatory treatment for 8 years. Her parents had passed away, no one could speak for her. Lawyers who tried to help were blocked at every turn. Her 8 years of youth were swallowed whole. The most symbolic case, Ink Girl Dong Yaoqiong. In 2018, Dong live-streamed herself splashing ink on Xi Jinping's portrait. The moment shocked the nation. Hours later, she vanished. She was later confirmed to have been sent to a psychiatric hospital. In 2019, when she was briefly released, her father saw that she had become blank-eyed, slow to react, and extremely tense, a completely different person from the vibrant daughter she once was. He suspected long-term forced medication. But the nightmare worsened, not for her, but for him. In 2021, Dong's father was suddenly sentenced to prison. He was beaten to death behind bars. His body was bruised all over and forcibly cremated. As for Dong herself, her whereabouts remain unknown. An entire young woman and her family were simply erased. Why did the overflowing psychiatric hospitals shock all of China? Because Chinese people know. You may not be sick at all, yet you can be thrown in at any time. And when such places suddenly become overcrowded, what does it imply? Is it soaring mental illness rates? Or growing stability maintenance needs? That's the terrifying part. China's psychiatric hospitals have become tools of control, punishment, and silencing, an issue society cannot afford to ignore. 2. The marriage market, pig butchering scam. If the overflowing psychiatric hospital reveals the most voiceless and desperate people at the bottom of society, the next story exposes another painful reality, a booming scam known as the marriage agency pig butchering scheme. Unlike traditional fraud that directly steals money, this one makes you willingly empty your savings, max out your credit cards, and still believe happiness is just one step away. But the matchmakers, the high-quality bachelors, and the customized services, are all part of a script. A Blue Whale media investigation revealed that this is not a small-scale con. It's a complete, mature, assembly-line black industry system. How the marriage pig butchering scheme works. Step 1. Online baiting. Polished social media accounts reach out. The profile photo is real, the tone gentle, even sharing personal troubles. Targets are mostly urban singles, anxious, busy, financially stable. Those willing to believe in love. Step 2. In-person manipulation plus financial probing. Before discussing matches, they ask to check your phone, ostensibly to assess compatibility. But what they really want is your salary records, spending habits, credit limits. They need to know how much you're worth. If you can afford 20,000 yen, they sell you a 20,000 yen package. If you can afford 200,000 yen, they push you toward that pit. Step 3. The matchmaker's sweet talk offensive. Their strongest skill is not matchmaking, it's psychological manipulation. Common phrases include: we guarantee marriage. We have many high-quality bachelors, high salary, stable, ready to settle down. Once you get married, 80 to 90% of the fee will be refunded. Once you meet the right man, he'll help you pay off your credit cards. None of this is written into the contract. A victim's testimony. Ms. Sun received a simple message one day. Miss, do you need help finding a partner? The conversation felt friendly, not like sales, not like fraud. So she agreed to meet the matchmaker. After having her phone checked and financial situation evaluated, the matchmaker launched a storm of verbal persuasion. Caught between longing for love and constant anxiety, Ms. Sun signed a contract on the spot, taking out loans and maxing several credit cards. But the so-called customized service was nothing like promised. The men she met were far below expectations, and many were clearly actors, dating decoys hired to create an illusion of busyness and demand. When she sought a refund, the company refused and suggested an alternative. Sign another contract. Combine the two. Get married, and we'll refund 80%. She agreed. Both agencies were actually run by the same group. Threats and intimidation. Some people demanded refunds the next day, but were told, the contract is already effective. Worse, some who pursued legal action found unidentified men waiting outside their homes, stalking, intimidating, threatening. Imagine coming home at night to find strangers lingering in your building. The psychological terror is enormous. Ms. Sun nearly lost her job from the stress. The two companies that scammed her, Shanghai Jingxijia Ren Cultural Creative Company and Shanghai Zaiheisheng Zhiyue Cultural Creative Company, have since disappeared. In the same office, a new company suddenly appeared, Liangyuan Jiao. Same model, same matchmakers, same team, just a different business license. Corporate records show nearly 50 lawsuits against the previous companies for marriage contract disputes, plus multiple abnormal operation and enforcement records. In short, they're not matchmaking companies. They're shell-swapping fraud factories. Why is this scam successful? Because it targets the softest human spot: loneliness, longing, and the desire for companionship. In China's big cities, such scams operate openly, year after year. The true horror is not that the scams exist, but that they are allowed to exist. 3. The Guangzhou Social Security back payment scam. If love can be turned into a trap, so can anxiety. In China today, even retirement, the final safety net of life, has become a tool for scammers. The next case involves over 1,000 victims and more than 100 million yen in fraud. This is Guangzhou's massive Social Security back payment scam. The story of Zhou Zhiyong, age 56. Because of unstable work, her Social Security contributions had been intermittent. 2 years ago, she discovered she was nearly 10 years short of the minimum 15-year contribution needed to qualify for a pension. Could she back pay? Her anxiety surged. Millions in China face the same problem: freelancers, job hoppers, part-time workers. When she was lost, someone told her, "There's a company that can help you, pay everything retroactively." For someone nearing retirement, this sounded like salvation. A scam wrapped in professional appearance. Zhou went to the Guangzhou Ijia Consulting Service Company. They had a proper office, a reception desk, staff in uniforms, official-looking contracts, standardized procedures, professional language. To ordinary people, these are signs of legitimacy. She signed a consulting service agreement. The core of the scam: forged employment files. Step 1 of the scam: fake paperwork to make victims appear as company employees. They told her, "Don't worry, we'll prepare everything. ULL as our employee." They forged payroll slips, labor contracts, onboarding records, and had her sign them. She needed to 114 months, 9.5 years. At a calculated price per month, the total came to 159,600 yen. She paid. That payment marked the point of no return. When the contract period ended, she checked, and not a single month had been. The company kept delaying. "Just wait. We're still processing." This is a classic tactic: delay as long as possible, never mention refunds. When Zhou searched online, she found countless victims, some who paid in 2021 and still had nothing processed even as they were nearly reaching retirement age. Collapse of the scam: the company disappears. By March this year, crowds of victims stormed the company demanding answers. But eventually, when people arrived, the entire office was empty. Ijia had vanished, cleaned out completely, as if it never existed. The scam defrauded over 1,000 people and stole over 100 million yen. Police investigations revealed this was a professional criminal organization with linked companies such as Yimi Culture, Shenying, and others, using tactics like shell swapping, renaming, deregistering, and re-registering, like a franchised scam empire. More than 70 suspects have been arrested. Police classified it clearly: fraud, with extraordinarily large sums and over 1,000 victims. Key question: is Social Security back payment actually possible? Most victims ask this. Is even possible? The answer from Guangzhou's Social Security Department is simple. If your employer failed to pay for you that year, they can for you. If you had no job or you missed payments you cannot previous years, you can only pay going forward. In other words, you cannot fill a 10-year gap with money. The policy does not allow it. Scammers exploited the public's lack of knowledge, and their fear of losing retirement security. What happens if you through fraud? A Guangzhou court once ruled on a similar case. A company owner forged documents for 21 people, successfully their social security. 8 even collected pensions. Result: Social security funds lost 130,000 yen. The owner was sentenced to 3 years in prison. All records were annulled. Meaning, even if fraudulent succeeds, it will be reversed and may constitute a crime. Why did this scam fool so many people? Because it preyed on people's most vulnerable fear. I'm getting old, I can't live without a pension. I don't want to become a burden to my family. I need security in my final years. Anxiety became the sharpest tool for scammers. Conclusion: these 3 groups. Those sent to psychiatric hospitals. Those emotionally manipulated into financial traps. Those whose retirement savings were drained. Come from different cities, ages, and life paths. Yet they share one tragic thread. When they needed help the most, the world offered them traps, people ready to push them deeper into despair. Some were locked away in psychiatric wards. Some were emotionally exploited in the name of love. Some lost their final savings to pension fraud. Ordinary people trying to live with dignity find it increasingly difficult. Place all the stories together, and a chilling truth emerges. The most dangerous thing in China today is not poverty itself, but the system that manufactures poverty, enables scams, and disregards human life.